Hi there, English 102 online students. Welcome to week 14 of our course. Happy Thanksgiving break week. If you're taking on-campus classes, of course, we only have classes a couple of days this week. So we're all looking forward to a little bit of time to rest and relax and spend some time with our families. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we've been working on and what's coming up in the next couple of weeks as we head towards the end of our semester. Okay, so in week 13, you worked on a few of the remaining module-based homework assignments 8.1, 8.2, and 8.3, all about thesis statements, the structure of academic paragraphs, and conclusions. So you should be really having a good sense of what an academic paper looks like in terms of its structure. You studied introductions a little bit earlier on in the semester towards the beginning, so you've kind of got all the components down. You've got your introduction, which is going to have a thesis statement. You've got the structure of an academic paragraph, how to incorporate paraphrases, quotes, your own ideas, and also how to conclude. So we've got all the pieces. Now we just need to put them together. And so we're moving on now to the final project of English 102, which is the Problem Solution Research Report. The draft of this assignment will be due on Sunday, November 28th. And so let's just go ahead and jump into the module folders so we can get a sense of what this assignment is all about and what you need to have ready for next Sunday. Okay, so we are going to be heading into the final module folder, the very last one we're going to be working in. All right, let's see if we can get there, huh? It keeps jumping all around on me. Okay, so as it tells you here in this module, you'll be learning about the requirements for the final writing project, the Problem Solution Research Report. You'll write and revise the first draft of your project. That's the first thing you're going to be doing, and that's due next Sunday. You'll give and receive feedback on your project. So here's where we come back to peer review again. You're going to be looking through a draft of a classmate and giving them some feedback, and you'll be getting the same from one of your classmates. And that's the last homework assignment you're going to be working on in addition to the final paper itself and a presentation of your research. And as it says in that last bullet point there, you'll put together a presentation of your research to share with your instructor, not with your classmates, it'll just be with me, but you'll be doing an online presentation. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump into our final module folder. You've got all of your due dates there, and we're gonna go ahead and open up the guidelines for the Problem Solution Research Report. Okay, so as it tells us there in the overview, a problem solution paper requires you to investigate a problem, examine alternative solutions, and propose the most effective solution using supporting evidence. So up to now, you have been researching a topic that you chose more or less at the beginning of the semester or in the first few weeks of the semester. You spent a good amount of time investigating that issue, or that topic or that problem through all the research assignments that we did. You collected a lot of sources, and those sources went into your annotated bibliographies. You used one of them to write your critical response essay. So by now you should have a lot of different sources of information about your topic. So now that you've got all that for that supporting evidence, you'll first describe the problem in your paper and persuade your reader that the problem needs to be addressed. So think about this topic you've been researching all of this time. How can you think about a problem or an issue related to that topic and describe it? Okay, what are the issues surrounding that problem? Why is it a problem? Who does it affect? And then once you've explained the problem, you're going to be explaining possible solutions and provide support to show why the solution or solutions is a good choice. Okay, your audience will be me and your classmates this time, since you're going to be doing a peer review the week after you submit this. Okay, your audience should care about the problem enough to care about the solutions. So as with an informative essay, and all essays really, you must decide what your readers already know about the topic. You should also consider how your reader can participate in the solution, kind of like in a persuasive essay. So this is like an informative and a persuasive essay rolled into one. Okay, the purpose, as we've kind of already touched on, you'll define a problem, propose a solution to it, and convince your readers that your proposed solution or solutions will solve the problem. So I've given you some getting started pre-writing questions that will help you kind of think about how you want to present the problem to your reader. I've also given you a possible outline that you can follow. So you've got one section with the introduction, and your introduction generally includes an attention getter, background information on the problem, and your thesis. And your thesis, as you'll be seeing after you submit 8.1 tonight, I'll be giving you some feedback on your thesis statements so you'll know if you're heading in the right direction for your draft. And so your thesis should clearly state the controlling idea of your paper, which is based upon explaining a problem and discussing the possible solutions. So your thesis is basically, here's my problem, this is a problem because, and here is what I propose to solve that problem or address that problem in some way. Okay, so the second section of your paper will go through the causes of the problem. The next section of your paper would go through the effects of the problem. The next part would be the solutions to the problem. That's probably going to be longer than the other sections. You might also want to include a counter argument and refutation in that section because people might not always agree with your solutions, but you've got to explain to them why your solution is still a good one. And you may have more than one solution. So even though it just shows one section for solutions to the problem, if you have more than one, then you might need to include a separate paragraph or separate section for each solution. And then finally, your conclusion. What can you logically draw from all your research? You're going to be restating the problem and the benefits of the proposed solution and leaving your readers with kind of some food for thought about it. What do you want your reader to do now or to better understand? Okay, there are sample essays that are attached to the guidelines. So if you go back, you'll see an MLA sample and an APA sample. Let's see, one of these is an essay on education on, I think it is an essay on the kind of mastery classroom, like the gradeless classroom. So students earning or mastering a subject or a topic before they move on to the next, rather than earning grades or having high stakes testing like we're used to doing now. And so I think it's a pretty interesting topic, especially if you happen to be an education major. The APA sample is one that I found online, but this one is about animal testing, and it's kind of a nice example because it labels everything with all the parts. This one does happen to be formatted in APA style, but the structure of the paper is still a good one for you to take a look at, even if you plan on doing MLA. And because the sections of an APA paper, the structure of the APA paper is going to be the same. The only thing that's different is the way you cite your sources, the way you set up the style and format of your document. Those will be different, but as far as the structure goes, you could definitely get a lot from looking at this sample too. Okay, so heading back over here to our assignment guidelines. Okay, as far as other requirements, they're going to be very similar to what you saw with previous essays. And so the final version of your essay is going to be 6 to 7 pages. That's not including the works cited or references page. As far as the font and font style, that's all the same as your other assignments. You can format your essay in either MLA or APA style, but make sure you choose one style and stick with it. Don't jump back and forth between different styles. That'll be confusing to your reader, and it definitely impacts the professional look of your final product. Okay, the first draft, which is the one that's due next week, so this is your first attempt at this, is 3 pages. So that first draft doesn't have to be all the sections of your paper. It could just be the introduction and a few body paragraphs. It could be just some body paragraphs and you haven't gotten to your introduction or conclusion yet. You decide what you want to put in those 3 pages. The goal is that you have at least 3 pages of content for your classmate to review and give you some feedback on. If you decide not to put the certain sections of your paper, like the introduction or conclusion, it might be helpful to include a note about that in your draft so that your partner or I know that you're still working on those sections. Okay, final version of your essay has to include a works cited or references page with a minimum of 5 citations of outside sources. You needed to have at least that many for your annotated bibliography, so you already have a lot to work with. And you also need to use in-text citations in the body of your essay. I'll be pointing that out if I see any missing when I look at your drafts. Okay, so I've given you some guidelines on the types of sources you need. So at least 3 of your sources must be reliable academic sources like those we've discussed in class, like books, peer-reviewed academic journal articles, reputable magazines, newspaper articles, ebooks. You should already have a lot of this in your collection already. That was the goal of the annotated bibliography. So you can go ahead and look through the rest of that description, but it should be really pretty much the same as what you needed to do for the bibliography. Okay, everything needs to be submitted and turn it in, of course. And then you've got your due dates. So Sunday, November 28th is the date of your first draft. If you need to use your 1-day extension and you haven't used it at this point, this would be a good time to do that. Although for the draft, I would not recommend using the extension because you won't get the peer review feedback. Although if you don't submit it any longer than that 1 day, it actually should work out okay, since I usually wait a day before distributing all the drafts. The final version of your paper is due during finals week, Friday, December 10th, and that's the final 6 to 7 page product. And all the links for submitting everything are right here in the final module folder. So you'll see the draft right here. And then the peer review is going to come next. That's next week. There's also information on the research presentation. You can go ahead, if you haven't up to now, go ahead and take a look through those materials. I'll wait till next week to give you a video explanation on those, just not to overload you with too many things. And then you'll see the link to submit your final project right here. So that's really everything that we have for this week. I hope that that's a helpful explanation. If you have any specific questions, anything that you need to know as you're working on this over the Thanksgiving holiday, I should be checking my email regularly. The only day I might not be is Thanksgiving itself. But before that and after that, I'll be close to my emails, so I'll be glad to answer any questions that you might have. So I hope you have a great night, and I look forward to seeing your first drafts. And have a great Thanksgiving holiday, too.